Well, would you look at that? Planet Coaster finally came to console. Hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here, and welcome to our first look at Planet Coaster Console Edition. This being on a PS4, but of course available on Xbox as well. And I'm not sure if it's on the Nintendo Switch, but if it is, you guys will have to let me know down below. I don't own one, so I'd love to know. This game, beloved by so many people. If you like games like City Skylines, if you like Planet Zoo, then you're going to love Planet Coaster. And the Planet Coaster Console Edition, my concerns of it not really living up to the PC variant were very quickly crushed by all that this game has to offer. A lot of great pre-built things to help make your building experience easy, the ability to share your parks with friends, and a whole campaign mode which is separate from the PC version. Really makes me want to actually get this game separate from PC just for all the extra little goodies in there, which makes it feel like I'm kind of buying the full game with a DLC rather than just the same game on PC. So it definitely does differ. And if, for example, you have a friend who you want to get Planet Coaster and they don't, they don't have a PC or whatnot, it might be good to convince them or to convince yourself to check this one out, and it's a lot of fun. We're going to jump into building a sandbox park here today and see everything that there is to do in the game. I've already been building my own park, so don't spoil it just yet. No, don't go in there. I've been building it for a few hours, and there's quite a few things to do. So there's all these parks that I built and that you can share with everybody else, and like there's a career mode, sandbox mode, challenge mode, and a workshop mode where you can take things from the Frontier Workshop. So it's not the Steam Workshop, but it is something where people can upload stuff, and there's going to be a lot of vibrant work in there. So if you're very concerned about not being able to build things like me, don't you worry. Again, there's a challenge mode, which is kind of like sandbox mode, except more dedicated to earning money. It's more of a realistic mode, building a park from scratch in all of these different areas. And, of course, if you wanted to build a tropical island with a theme park on it, like Jurassic Park, and have money to worry about, then that's what the challenge mode is for. Otherwise, sandbox mode, no money. You just have fun and build a park with no funds to worry about, but everything else you have to worry about. And then, of course, career mode, which has all sorts of different objectives. All right, well, let's go ahead and start the sandbox mode. Again, all these different areas to build in. And I think we're going to build in the Deciduous area. So let's go ahead and begin. Alright, so in the span of about 2 hours, I was able to build a park that I was quite proud of, considering that my biggest concern was the controller on the PlayStation 4 versus a mouse and keyboard. If you've ever done anything in a building game before, a city builder or any sort of game where you're laying things out, it's much easier to play on a keyboard and mouse, in my opinion. Things like, for example, The Sims, I think, are also a little easier on the PC, but I was quickly surprised at how easy it was to navigate a lot of the menus once I got the hang of things. I want to start things with a wooden coaster. Three of the things that I always do in every one of my parks, just because it always makes me happy, is to build a wooden coaster, a log flume, and then the large steam power swings, which are really big. And it looks great next to a like a water or a waterfall, like a area with a lake and a river, and it really looks like we're building a amusement park inside of a nature area, so it's going to look really cool. One of the things that I'm not very skilled at is building stations for a lot of these roller coasters and thrill rides, but one thing I'm really good at is building beautiful mountainous landscapes and really getting my Bob Ross on when I'm building all sorts of coasters, and then adding things like elevated landscape around them, and then also painting the ground. You can paint the ground in this game in terms of making it look like it's rocky or soil or grassy, and it really makes things look a lot more alive than just being a large green area, which really can look dull if you don't take a little bit of time. But to each their own, and of course if you get this game, it'll be your park, and you can do as you please. Now, one of the things that really matters the most in this game is doing things incorrectly, and not incorrectly, but just kind of getting things to where you're more and more happy with them as you go along. And really, there is a right and a wrong way to run a park if you're worried about financials, but that's why we play in Sandbox, so that way we can do what we want. Another impressive thing too about the game is that when it pops up on the side there, it's really easy to navigate the things with the like the different options with the D-pad. Though it does take a little bit of getting used to since you're kind of disabled from using the mouse. But we'll put it into a daytime thing now. So there is a day-night cycle in this game as well, which looks very gorgeous at nighttime. There are some incredible YouTubers out there who do an incredible amount of detailing at day and at night in their parks, where they are worried about how things will look during the day and the night, and they make everything beautiful spotlights on certain buildings, and they create like downtown Disney, for example, with these beautiful like urban areas with shops and stores and little restaurants that you can visit, and they build some just wonderful train stations, and it really adds a lot of life to the world. And that's exactly why we're adding trees and rocks now. Now, a cool thing is that in the original game of the version on PC that I have, they don't necessarily have these little clumps of rocks and things. I think you can download about 1 billion of these in the workshop, but I've never really taken a look to go find a clump of rocks or whatnot. But one of the things I was worried about was decorating everything one by one. I like to put down every individual tree and rotate it and place it out over the course of several live streams, which could be about maybe 24 hours worth of work on building a park, just even the initial area of a park. It's very rare that I ever even complete a park in this game, because really there's no such thing as being done in a city builder or a park builder. You can put a bow on it and say there, it's done, but there's always something to do, always something to replace. Here we're building like a little rock arch just to see how things work for clipping through the ground. You can take the same rock and rotate it basically in all directions, 360 degrees in all directions, and rotate the same rock upside down and inside out almost, and stack them and clip them through each other, so that way it looks like different types of boulders, so that way with very minimal effort you can get a very unique look. Now my park is also going to get a unique look after I change how it looks multiple times. I don't ever think I'm ever done in this game. As I mentioned, you're never really done. And in this type of a park builder, you're always working on basically trying to use the land as much as possible in minimal space. You don't want the guests to walk very far to each one of the rides. The further that they walk, the less time that they're spending in line, and they're not going on as many rides. And you want high throughput. You want them to be able to go on as many rides in the shortest amount of time possible, because if you have it set to where you're making money off of each ride, of course that's your profits. But also you want them to leave the park with a good experience, knowing that, in the course of their time at the park, they were able to go on a lot of rides, find somewhere to eat, use the restroom, and then maybe take some pictures or something like that with family, and then go home. So you definitely don't want them spending all their time going across the Sahara, on a horse with no name or something like that, in order to get to each destination. So it's always a good idea to try to build a little bit of landscaping at the start. Here you can see we're actually building a river, and it really does well. I'm very impressed with the ability to, for the PlayStation at least, to like go snappy. I was always worried with these consoles being underpowered for these types of games, not being able to handle terraforming. But this one does it quite well, and it makes me wonder like what it would be like. Does City Skylines have a console edition? And if it does, is it any good? Or if they don't, do you think it would be good? I'm really curious to know, like, if Planet Coaster comes to consoles as it is as of today, Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo would be fantastic on here, as well as City Skylines. So one of the very important things in this game too is pathing. So as you are landscaping, it is very important too to also make sure that you have a lot of flat landscape for all the rides and the pathways, and then build some beautiful ridges in between. It's almost like building a miniature train, not even just like the miniature train tracks, but also you're trying to build the world around it to make it seem alive by having scenery set up where it looks like everything can function. And the people who come to your park really liven things up too. Here we're adding more of that paint to give our shoreline some good appearance, and we're going to add all sorts of different textures here, both rocks and smaller rocks and sand, just to kind of liven it up a little bit more. I've built rivers before in this game where they really look gorgeous, almost like a camping area, and that is something that I've seen other players do before too, where you can go into the sandbox and just strictly make a roller coaster and save the design, and or build structures, like for example the Hard Rock Cafe and Hotel, and save that as well, or Epcot Center, or if you just wanted to recreate your own home in the game. It's really a sandbox to do whatever you'd like. Ultimate challenge if you go for higher detail. It takes much longer to do, and of course it is much more fun to do, of course, if you happen to pull it off. I'm not really skilled with the small, minimal details or maximum details. The small details make a big difference in this game. But again, don't be intimidated by it, because again, you can build a few roller coasters, throw some mountains up around it, and then use all the pre-programmed trees or the workshop trees in order to fill everything in. I think every park needs like a beautiful grand opening, so I always build some sort of a square, try to build a fountain or an area with a lot of trees, which kind of serves as the central hub for everyone to walk back and forth from. And we're also going to build a bridge off from the center island. One thing that I like to do too is there's water effects in this game, so you'll see that we'll add those in later, where it's fountains in front of the large swing there. And one thing we can do is almost make it look like the people who ride it are going to get wet. So there's ways where you can time special effects So that way, for example, if a roller coaster passes it, an explosion will go off or fire will come up and, be a really cool effect for people on the coaster. And you can kind of do the same with thrill rides, too, to almost try to time it perfectly. Adding some more maximized details. Min-max details? I don't even know. I just love putting this stuff down. I actually get distracted more by the landscaping than I do the actual coaster building, but that's what brings this world alive. It's not so much like how it was in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, where that world was really alive. Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, highly recommended. And this was kind of the right step after that one. So if you're a big fan of the Roller Coaster Tycoon series too, have a PS4 or PS5 or the new Xbox, I'm sure this will be available everywhere on everything as soon as those are available and as soon as this is out. It's a good opportunity to get back in and try it out. Here we're adding some of those water effects now for the people in the queue going across the lake, and we're going to try to spread those out and adjust them a little bit. One on the right's a little too far away, so we'll kind of squeeze that in just a little bit to the left. There we go. And it looks good. Perfect. Right, so I really like the lake. I really like building mountains. I really like putting down trees. So it's perfect for making a lot of roller coasters that go through tunnels. There's a huge amount of variety of coasters in this game. I don't even know half of them. I wouldn't even know. I could probably name 3 and that's it. You got your wooden coasters, your steel coasters, and then like inverted coasters, and then I'm out. But if you've seen it, they probably have it. And if it exists in real life, you could probably download it from the workshop. There's an incredible amount of people in the community who build things such as all the coasters from Six Flags or Busch Gardens or wherever, any location in real life, and they recreate it time and time again in these games, and it's just mind-blowing, the dedication that people will put in to do that kind of stuff. One of the things I've always struggled in Roller Coaster Tycoon and Planet Coaster is building, and you may have had trouble with this too, is building the queue and the exit ramp from, sometimes from coasters when they're a little further away from the path. You don't want a straight line just going from the station to the road. You always kind of want to try to hug the land and make it look a little less industrial or straightforward. When people are leaving a coaster, it can still look beautiful by going through a large group of trees. And keep in mind, in this game, if you do a lot of detailing around coasters, that also raises their prestige level too, or their excitement level, or their not intensity, but people enjoy it more. Instead of a coaster in the middle of a desert, it's more exciting if there's trees close by and there's things to look at as they're speeding along, like buildings and other coasters that may go over or through them or whatnot. And a lot of the scenarios also seem to have a lot of that in there as well, where there's a lot of pre-made stuff that will actually kind of show you exactly how to do it and to get close to that type of design and to try to build one yourself. Of course, we've been only using pre-built stuff in here already, but the real true masters of Planet Coaster do build their own roller coasters. And in this game, I would say it's much more time-consuming, but maybe a little easier too, because since you have the joysticks to work with, you can really get those, like there's an incredible, almost an infinite number, well, there's only so many angles, of course, but it's like when you're building angles on a coaster, there's you can go into a 20-degree turn or a 35-degree turn, and experimenting is half the battle in that as well. So you may see things go back and forth too. Over the course of doing this, I was kind of taking 30-minute breaks and coming back inspired with new ideas. Go grab a snack, come back, and then be like, you know what, this area here needs some trees. And you really, doing this game is, when you're kind of doing sandbox mode, it's like being Bob Ross. Again, any sort of open area is a canvas for you to design stuff. So if you feel like, the guests need a toilet, but I don't want it to look so, just there, and then so you decorate it and you add different types of buildings. Up here, I'm going to build a sign that eventually I replace that says Planet Coaster on it, and I didn't even know this was in here. I had the idea of kind of wanting to lay out my own sign, and I eventually found my a custom-built one after I was going to build my own. And I thought it'd be cool to put like Planet Coaster up on the hill here, so that way people could know where they were. I never really named my parks other than like Raptor's Park or Raptoria or whatnot, so it's kind of cool to see. Now, speaking of which, by the way, if you watch this far, I do want to make a mention that if I get additional keys for this game, I want them to go to you guys who support me so often. So if you haven't followed me on Twitter or Instagram or jumped on our Discord, the links are below for that. And I get keys all the time for these types of games, and it's hard for me to give them away except for in live streams or for our Discord or Twitter followers, so make sure you do that, and never be afraid to say hi down below in the comments section. Ask a question, give some hints, or give me some feedback on the park too. Again, keep in mind, this was only 2 hours on my first park in the console edition, but plenty of experience before in the game. So if I make it look easy, it is easy. It's definitely just kind of however you want to build things. Again, there's no right or wrong unless it comes to working the park financially. And if you've seen a lot of the videos, as this game has been out for a few years of people playing the campaigns, there's a lot of techniques to making money in this game. And I would just say, if anything, if you're ever intimidated in a building game, just go into sandbox mode and have a fun time. It's really like gardening. It's so fun. Literally, it's gardening right now, but it is so fun to just build a coaster and make a goal for the day and then try to achieve it. Like, you know what, today I'm going to build a steel coaster. And you go in there and you build a coaster you're proud of. Cool thing is, too, in this park now that we're building, we could leave this park and go into another sandbox mode, build another coaster, then come back here and import it. So you can also save all of your designs of things that you built before, including buildings. So if there's a building that you built in one of your parks and you want it to be the theme of every one of the parks that you build, like let's say for example a large castle like Disney, Walt Disney's castle, Disney World, it would be a cool idea to then import that into all of your parks. So there's a way to do that. So if you make a beautiful little statue or something, you can always import it into every one of your parks, which is a cool little thing. You'll know it's there, and every park that you build, you can sneak it in somewhere as kind of like your own personal logo. Now, I must admit, I get way too out of control when it comes to building the landscape in this game, but it is so cool. Luckily, we got very lucky here in putting down this log flume right at the end of this river/lake that I kind of built, and it splashes in right in the bottom of the lake there, and I was like, wow, that is a perfect fit. So we're going to build a beautiful mountain around this, and if you've ever been on a log flume, it's the most exciting when you go in and out of tunnels, don't know where the drops are, and then there's always, of course, that one big drop before the end, which this one does have with the splash area, and of course we'll try to incorporate pathways and such in there later. Super easy to build all of these kind of mountainous terrain. It is a little more difficult to kind of make them try not to look blobby, so there are options to chisel and to move things around, and of course you can always add prop rocks in the game, which of course make things look like boulders rather than just painted landscape, so it doesn't just look like a hunk of clay or Play-Doh that's been spray painted. Whoa, that is a big path. Now, one thing I want to do here is I'm going to try to make this into like a camping theme area where it looks a little bit more like maybe a nature area. So I was trying to build a path here where I wanted to put some trees and it just kind of be like a nature trail off to the side, and then to have a large bridge for high traffic. Now, I kind of built this loop here, and I didn't like it at first, and typically when I build things, it's kind of a placeholder for, you know, I'm doing two big projects and I just need something to connect them for now. So a lot of the times I'll build something on one end of the park, something on the other end of the park, and then kind of just connect them with kind of a temporary connection that's not going to be permanent. And then eventually I try to spruce things up and sometimes come to realize that, oh, actually this is nice, or oh, I do want this. And of course, it's all up to you. When the funds are unlimited, and same with your time, you can do as you please. We'll be adding a lot more trees and a mountainous area here, and it's going to look really cool. Waterfalls are a little more difficult to make in these games. You know, you can't just make water on a high area and then water to a low area and have it do it automatically. I think there are special effects things where you can make it look like a waterfall, but really, if you showed your friend or a parent or a loved one the waterfall, they would be convinced that it's real, and it doesn't really give you any sort of extra points or anything by doing that. So again, we're going through the painting process, and as you can see, the mountain's really evolving quickly. I don't know what to name this park, actually. If you'd like me to name it something particular, give me some ideas down below. I always like, you know, giving them, I always feel like I want to call them Misty Mountain or, you know, Splash Mountain or something like that. You know, it always sounds cool to name it after a mountain or make it sound like a summer camp, even though it's roller coasters and fast food and log flumes and go-karts, which are another thing that we're going to add later, which I always underestimate the golf carts. Sorry, not golf carts, go-karts. Yeah, golf carts would be kind of a cool thing, too, in this game, I suppose. They do have tracked rides that go very slow, like antique cars and trains and monorails that you can use to get around the park, so it gives you, it's an incredible, this game really is not a game as much as it is a toolbox to do as you wish, and to recreate parks around your house. And the cool thing is that I see people do from time to time is whenever there's a new coaster in, for example, in Sweden, in Gothenburg, there is a park known as Liseberg, and it is very old, and usually every couple of years has a new ride. And so there are people who will who've recreated that theme park and then continue to add rides and remove rides and continue to update it based on the themes. And there's community projects and such on the PC, and I would imagine that PS4 and Xbox would have them as well, where people want to share designs and upload and download things, and it makes it a lot more fun. Adding some more details here will make things look a little better. As you can see, I'm kind of rotating these trees. It's the same tree, but if you place them at different altitudes, and if you place a few other different looking trees between them, boom, it's convincing that it's not the same tree. Don't tell anybody. Oh boy. I also, I love fall time, and so when I noticed that there were a few autumn colored trees, you know, red and orange and beautiful yellow colors, I was like, wow, I really want to add all those together. So I was just kind of taking a peek at the mountain from there. Another cool thing to do at the top of the mountain is to add awesome special effects like fog as the log flume boats come out of the very top of the ride before the final drop. Boom, hit them with them, hit them with smoke, and make them guess that something's gonna happen. The big drop is coming. We're gonna add a big food court here. One thing I wanted to do is always build a food court near the entrance, because it's usually the high traffic area where people are coming in from and leaving from too, so it's always a good centralized location to make some good money. But really also, I'm just trying to make things as if we didn't have a budget and just trying to make it as convenient for the guests as possible. And that's a very big favorite building of mine too. That's in the PC version. It's got 3 buildings and a pathway underneath that you can build down there too, where you can have a pathway going between the buildings, which is really good for saving space and also making it so that way people could enter from behind the building, and you could build like a large picnic area in front of it, or do whatever you would like to kind of keep people moving. And there's also a gift area. This is kind of full of gift shops and other things, so we're going to try to put that down too. And I think there might even be restaurants in this as well. It's even bigger, so I figured, hey, why not put it over here too? I see a balloon stand, hat stand, and I think the milkshakes are at the end too, and maybe popcorn or french fries, but good stuff. Well, yeah, there is a french fry stand there too. We're going to put restrooms behind there and have this lead to even more roller coasters and such in the back end. So this asphalt road that's kind of going along the river is our main street for now, where a lot of the foot traffic is going to come from. When people come in, they're going to probably turn left and go for the coaster or the food or the restrooms or whatnot, and then make their way down to more coasters, and then on the way back, hopefully hit up the food and whatnot again on their way back. More minor details here. A lot of spray painting going on. I do it quite a bit. It does make quite the difference to see that color palette. It's gorgeous. And then, of course, all the different trees. I love the dark greens of the trees, the light greens of the bushes, and then, of course, mixed in with the rock. It's really just pleasant to see every time in this game. Really incredible looking. And we're debating on what we're going to build next for a thrill ride. Spoiler alert, we will be building a carousel, which is just an instant classic, and I think every one of my parks I always want to do that. Actually, there it is. I did build that previously. But it's not to where I want it just yet, so we'll modify that a little bit more. Restrooms being put over here. Good spot to kind of put it, you know, you kind of don't want it to exist, but you do. You want it there and easily accessible and visible, but you don't want it to be an eyesore. So it is quite nice to use those planet buildings. There are theme buildings in the game, too, for things like pirates and maybe Egyptian, you know, like times of the pharaohs, maybe Old West, that type of thing. And it's good to be able to build a bathroom inside those and keep everything within the theme, within your theme park. Of course, I always like to make my things look a little more kind of just clean and modern with no real... My theme is just modern theme. I don't know. I just like it when my when my buildings look a lot different than my coasters, because I think it gives my coasters a lot more theme or a feel to them. I feel like if I build a wooden coaster, I want that to be like the only major wooden structure, and I don't want everything else to look like the saloon and whatnot. Also, here, things are getting incredibly filthy, so it's time now to start putting down garbage cans, start hiring janitors and other vendors, and start taking care of our staff. This game does, if you don't know, has you manage your staff as well, where you kind of have to manage their pay and give them promotions and give them an area for staff, and it's not too difficult, but it's, you know, when I'm building a cool roller coaster, it's the last thing I want to worry about is, you know, the employees training and building all those types of things. So, you know, you can just keep hiring people until they quit and then just keep doing it. It's sandbox after all, you do as you wish. But these benches here really add a lot of character to all the pathways, and it's nice to see people sitting down and, you know, kind of standing by to go on their next roller coaster as they relax as everyone else passes by too. So it's kind of neat. And of course, more detailing will be coming soon. We've got lots of benches, a lot of options too for benches and garbage cans and things, and now we're adding more employees. Security guards, engineers for repairs, mechanics, also janitors and entertainment staff, people who, like a giant dragon or whatnot, who kind of entertain the guests and keep them happy. And here, one of the most difficult things in the game, in my opinion, is finding where I'm going to put that staff room. But right here, attached to the restroom, seems like a good call, and it seems like a nice little area to kind of put it like an official building. We'll kind of consider that to be like our HQ building, like our management office, but also an area where staff can rest and get R&R for the day. I'm also trying to take that Planet Coaster logo there because I wanted to put it on the mountain, but I just didn't have the time to do that, and or it wouldn't I wouldn't copy or whatnot. I was probably in the wrong mode. And we'll add some decoration now to the centerpiece of the park is always important, and I never know what to do. Also, I've changed the design from that red pathway to kind of more of a broken cobblestone, or I think what they call like a flagstone or shale or something like that. But we're going to go ahead and put some nice little fences down and then add some trees and such in the middle. And I'll soon discover that there's more bunches of trees and stuff. Very delightful, very easy to snap that stuff in. There are occasions in the PC version of the game where I do wish I had a controller just to get in, like just to slide the, the object that I'm working with just a little bit forward or backwards, and the mouse is not as precise as, dragging a little bit, but there you go. There's the sign I wanted to put down, Planet Coaster, all in neon, looking good. They also light up at nighttime, so the little white squares that you see at the bottom will add some light so you can see the sign at nighttime, though we won't be seeing nighttime in this game. In this episode, it is really cool that there is a day-night cycle and that you can take an entire day. After you've built your perfect park, think now that you have to design it for like another world, which is nighttime. So you worry about the lighting, you worry about the kind of like, should I put a light at every exit? I also want to keep things dark sometimes near the rides, so you want to kind of keep in mind that people in the queues, you might want a more dim atmosphere if they're going to go on a pirate ship or something like that. And then brighter for kids' rides and family things and whatnot. More trees being added. I love these dark trees. I love it's such a big favorite of mine. I love these multicolored trees like that. They just look so perfect. You know what they rhyme? I just suddenly got reminded of like the gummy bears and stuff. When you open up that package of gummy bears, you got your orange and your red and your yellow and your purple, and that's kind of what some of these trees can look like too as you're putting them down. Very easy to detail in this game, and it is very important. It could greatly increase the quality of your coasters, and I can't stress that enough, that you should really always decorate near every ride that you build, because one, it fills space and it feels great. Two, it adds more money to your coffers because the rating of your park will go up as well as the ride. And then three, it's just a really good thing to, I think it gives you a bonus that your people will have a better time in the park. And if you get that rating up, it helps out business even more. So, you might have a bunch of people in the park who aren't as happy when they arrive, but if they leave and they're happy, they're going to tell more people about it. And if you just built a new roller coaster, that helps to put more people on it, but always trying to improve every time you make a move. I love that island so much. I want to add more decorations to that thing all the time. I just can't believe it. It really looks good. All right, we're going to redo this pathway here. As I said before, I wanted to try to build a main street that goes around the park, but I'm often too ambitious of wanting to go around an entire lake, and I always forget, wait, people are here on vacation. They don't want to walk around a whole lake, so scratch that. Let's put it around the staff center, and if we put it around there, then there's room for rides behind that too. So we can put things down like go-karts, and we can put down maybe a Ferris wheel or a multitude of rides that rotate. Most of the thrill rides are either rotate and spin or drop, so or a multitude of both. So for example, like the Enterprise, or I think this one's typically called the top spin, I think, in the other game, but here it's called the overpower. Basically, the arm rotates with the chairs or the seating below, and then also it rotates within that. So there's like 2 degrees of rotation. I don't know what the technical terms are, but hey, you don't have to be like a scientist or be good at games to enjoy this. It's really not even it's a game. It's a simulator. It's It's a gardening sim. It's a design game. I'm sure there's been some people who've made actual plans with this game too, in terms of perhaps designing their own home garden or something like that. If you plan it out perfectly, you can kind of see how things look and work. And I'm sure some people have done that with The Sims and have done that with City Skylines. I think I've seen videos where city planners have done that before. So I wonder if anybody who operates a theme park ever kind of thought about this game and made some designs or a mock-up of a coaster they wanted to build just to kind of see how it would look. Obviously, there's professional level stuff for that. But this game, again, this is in the course of 2 hours that we are adding a ton of details. Now, I had a really cool idea for this racetrack. I wanted to do a theme for it. I went with the tower because I knew it was round and I'd seen it before and thought it would fit there, but I thought, hey, this would be cool for like a race through time. So when I work on this more for this go-kart track, I wanted to do like, oh, let's do, we'll do a future section, a medieval section, and like a modern section, and just see if we can make it, the people who are racing think that they're racing through time. You got all your castles and whatnot. I just thought it would be cool. But overall, for the course of this being sped up by X amount of 100% and me putting down a bunch of stuff, it really looks good. If this were my first park, I'd be very pleased with it. But I'm just kind of doing what I find to be comfortable, and the real challenge will be to design things in like deserts and whatnot. And of course, I want to put down a modern coaster. We won't have time to connect this to the path, but it I think will be a good coaster to put there at the kind of an end cap for the park. Well, and we're back, and in the course of about 2 hours, I was able to make a good amount of headway on building our very first park in Planet Coaster Console Edition. And what I've really enjoyed about this so far is that it really is just the same experience on PC, minus a few things, but a lot more community features, which is great. With the lack of the Steam Workshop, which was a big concern of mine, there's still a lot of stuff made by the developers and the community to keep things going and keep it simple. Detailing is very difficult in this game, as I mentioned, especially when you're not using a mouse and just a controller, but yet I was still able to make the typical things that I like to in Planet Coaster, the big log flume, the big open water area with a ride in the middle of an island. That's my type of signature and what I like to build, and I don't know, it doesn't feel like anything is missing. It just makes me want more, which I guess is a good thing, and that's how I always feel when I leave amusement parks too. I always feel like no matter how many rides I go on, I kind of never want to leave. So this is a very good experience, and I really like it. So the campaign's great. Sandbox, pretty good. The ability to share things between Xbox and PS4 is pretty cool as well. And there's a lot more to be had in this game. And it really makes me want to play the PC version, which is hilarious. It's like, wow, this game's good. This makes me want to play Planet Coaster. Wait, no, it's the same thing. It's like a whole new game, yet it's totally not. It's a good feeling. All right, guys, well, that's going to be it for my first look at Planet Coaster on the console edition. This, again, being on a PS4, but of course available on Xbox and PC, too, if you want to get the original game as well. But for this just being a fun little park builder or a fun little first look at the sandbox, let me know what I missed, what you would add, or what do you think I should add, and come check me out as I live stream this very park sometime in the future on the channel. You're going to miss out if you don't follow me on Twitter or Instagram if I get additional keys to give away. They go to you guys, so make sure that you do, so that way I can give you all of the love that you give me back. It's awesome. So thanks again, guys, for all the support. Thanks for coming to my little park, and I wish you a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for everything you do, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye, everyone, and have a good one.